Welcome back to our Metafacts expert interview series Mind the Graph. Today, we're exploring the intersection of knowledge graphs and AI with Peter Haase, Metafacts founder and chief scientific officer. We'll break down key concepts like Neurosymbolic AI, Explainable AI, and agentic AI, while uncovering how knowledge graphs enhance AI capabilities. We'll also discuss why generative AI needs structured knowledge, the evolving maturity of AI-powered knowledge graphs, and how Metafactory leverages these technologies. Thank you for being here, Peter. Let's jump right in. So, first of all, the term Neurosymbolic AI is often mentioned in discussions about AI and knowledge graphs. Could you explain what it means?
Yeah. So Neurosymbolic AI is about bringing together two paradigms of AI, neural AI and symbolic AI. Nowadays, when people talk about AI, they often think of generative AI in the sense of LLMs, which are based on neural network architecture, so effectively numerical statistics-based methods that learn from vast amounts of data in order to make predictions. And on the other hand, symbolic AI is about explicit knowledge representation using symbols and manipulation of symbols. In the context of knowledge graphs, these symbols would be classes, relationships, instances in a graph that have a formal semantics and grounding in logics, where we can make rule-based conclusions, draw rule-based inferences over this explicitly represented knowledge. Right? So both these paradigms have their strengths and weaknesses. Yeah? So clearly, the neural network-based architectures like LLMs have their strength in natural language understanding, in generalizing knowledge. But what they lack is really an explicit representation of knowledge. The knowledge that we have is only implicit, and therefore we also lack explainability. These systems are effectively black box. Yeah? In turn, with symbolic approaches, we really have always have a grounding in explicit knowledge. We have explainable inferencing, right? On the other hand, these systems are not as good as learning, and also they are hard to engineer. Right? So these symbolic knowledge bases need to be engineered. Right? So the idea of new symbolic integration really is about bringing together the strength of both worlds, and providing AI capabilities that go beyond what the individual paradigms can do.
So just for understanding, because I think everyone stumbled on the fact that sometimes AI starts to fantasize about stuff. So essentially, this is also an approach to prevent AI from fantasizing and rely on real data that is like structured.
Exactly. With these LLM-based approaches, we only have implicit knowledge. The LLM doesn't really know what it doesn't know, right? So it gives you answers based on what is likely true, but we don't really have a grounding in explicit knowledge base, hence the hallucinations.
You mostly included in your answer right now, but how do LLMs and knowledge graphs then benefit from each other?
Yeah. So putting together these capabilities, we can really build new kinds of systems, right? So, for example, if we augment an LLM with direct access to a knowledge graph, so knowledge augmented generation, we can enable these systems to really provide answers that are grounded in explicit facts, and where the answers that are given, solutions that are given, are explainable and can really be traced back to the original facts. Also, if we look at the capabilities of reasoning, LLMs are very good at making predictions, but they struggle at logical reasoning. Right? So combining the reasoning capabilities that we have on the symbolic side with the predictive capabilities that we have on the side of neural network architectures, we can really enable new kinds of inferences and reasoning. Right?
To what extent is the fact that it's a more natural interface to the user also a topic?
Yeah, that of course also is a topic. Yeah, so combining the language understanding capabilities of an LLM with a knowledge base, based on that we can provide conversational interfaces, so that provide more intuitive interfaces for an end user to converse with the knowledge that is represented in a knowledge graph.
These sound like really interesting concepts with a high potential for impact in the industry. So what are others doing about knowledge graphs and AI? Can you talk about the maturity of these technologies or a timeline for adoption?
Yeah. So here it might make sense to look at the maturity of these technologies in terms of the well-known Gartner hype cycle, right? And if we look at the current AI hype cycle published by Gartner, we see, not surprisingly, generative AI at the peak of inflated expectations, right? So everyone is talking about it, very high expectations, but we also see the challenges that are currently being faced, right? We talked about hallucinations, lack of explainability, etc. So we are about to get to that trough of the disillusionment. Huh? In contrast with knowledge graph technologies, yeah, so these are by Gartner put onto this slope of enlightenment, right? So a step further. So there, in the industry, technology has been recognized as providing value. Yeah, practical use cases are being implemented, also with us as Metafacts, right? So there we are already a step further in the maturity. Yeah? On the other hand of the spectrum, so what is really now currently put as an innovation trigger is this neurosymbolic integration, right? So this really as a new trend that so far has received primarily attention in the scientific community, right? But now really practical solutions are also emerging. We are active in that space, where really the potential is that these challenges, deficiencies of generative AI, really combined with the knowledge graph technologies, really can provide a lot of additional value.
So it seems in order to achieve adoption, the ability to provide trustworthy answers and explanations is really important. Can you expand on what explainable AI is?
Yeah, explainable AI is extremely important to achieve large-scale adoption, in particular in regulated industries. Right? So effectively, explainable AI means that we're able to trace back answers, solutions that have been generated to how they have come about, right? And here, black box systems like LLMs really struggle because they are not able to provide explanations, as they are inherently statistics-based and lack these explanation features, right? And here, really, this neurosymbolic approach, in particular also knowledge graphs, can come to the rescue, because if we combine these methods, if we can ground answers in knowledge graphs, we can provide trustworthy answers that can always be traced back, and we can provide explainable reasoning, traceable reasoning that really provide explanation change of how particular answers have been generated.
Apart from that, there's another term I've been hearing lately, that's ethical AI. How are those related?
Yeah. So with every new technology comes new responsibility, right? In particular for AI technologies, as we're facing today, as they're really going into all aspects of our life and all aspects of society, this raises ethical concerns, ethical questions. And these largely also relate to the questions of trustworthiness, being able to understand, to explain how an AI system works. So we need to have that transparency. We need to have accountability. So these are all principles that need to be established in order to achieve responsible and ethical AI. In the context of data, we have these fair data principles. We need something similar for AI as well in order to build trustworthy, reliable systems. And this is a responsibility for us as technology providers, but for society as a whole, including also regulatory institutions.
Just out of personal interest, every AI is biased to some extent. How is this a problem in crafting a reliable solution?
It's true that every system has a risk of bias. The problem with black box approaches is that you don't really see that bias. That bias is not transparent. It's inherent in the model, but it is not explicit. It is not transparent. The approaches that we have based on knowledge graphs, we can naturally trace that bias back to what is explicit in the knowledge base. So we have a lot more transparency, not necessarily less bias, but at least more transparency about the data, about how particular decisions, how particular solutions are being generated.
What are other important trends that are happening right now? We hear a lot about agentic AI. Can you talk about that? Is that something entirely different or direct evolution of what we have covered so far?
Yeah. So agentic AI is really the trend that everyone is now talking about, and some say this is the next evolution step of LLMs. However, agents are not really new, right? Agents have been part of the AI idea from the very beginning. Also, if we look at the original vision of the semantic web, the Scientific American journal article about the semantic web had that really as a very key pillar, agents along with knowledge representation and ontologies. The community then focused more on knowledge representation and ontologies and neglected the agents a bit. But now, the agents are, they're experiencing a revival, but they're not new. So if we look at what an agent is, maybe let's explain that a bit. There are some key fundamental characteristics. First one is autonomy. An agent is able to act to some extent independently towards a particular goal, right? An agent is able to perceive its environment, so it has some sensors to understand its environment, and it's able to act not only reactively, but also really proactively towards that goal that the agent wants to achieve. Now, what does it mean now in the context of agentic AI in combination with LLMs? So this really has new potential here. We can really now develop systems, agent systems, that exhibit natural language understanding. So an agent that can really talk to an end user, to understand what the user wants, the user intent, right? Can understand the goals, independently develop a plan, work towards that goal. But, and that's very important, also has agency in the sense that it can actively do something. It can use tools, call particular services, right? And that really extends the capabilities of these AIs beyond what we had seen with LLMs initially.
I think it's very interesting because the agent thing, I heard first about AI agents, I think mid-90s or something, and they were, of course, a totally different beast back then, but they did similar stuff, but like in a much simpler way. So as you said, with the hype cycle, now that an older idea is coming back up and being combined with newer technologies, then gives it another shape that suddenly becomes interesting for everyone, not only for a small.
The fundamental ideas are still the same, the fundamental principles, but we have new technologies that really take this to a new level.
Do these agents then also benefit from the knowledge graph?
Yes, certainly. So all these benefits that we talked about in the context of neurosymbolic AI also extend to agents then, so in order to have trustworthy agents, an agent needs an explicit knowledge base. It needs to know what it knows. We want to have explainable, not only answers, but also actions, right? So this aspect of explainability that can be enabled through knowledge graphs is very important. The agent needs to have really an understanding of its world, but also an understanding of the user. So all of this can be enabled through explicit knowledge representation. Also, the capabilities towards understanding goals and developing plans can be facilitated with knowledge graphs. So a knowledge graph enabled agent really is a lot more capable than one that is purely based on LLMs.
So these are all very interesting and contemporary concepts, but where does Metafacts come into play? What can Metafacts as a company do in this space?
So at Metafacts, we really embrace these ideas of neurosymbolic AI and agentic AI. So we are currently extending our Metafactory knowledge graph platform with AI capabilities. So our initiative there is called Metaf, approach to agentic AI, where we are combining the strength of knowledge graphs with LLM-based capabilities. So Metaf allows to build knowledge-driven agents, right? So where we're combining the language understanding capabilities of LLMs with direct access to a knowledge graph. Metaf then has a range of capabilities, cognitive capabilities, conversing with the user, understanding its intent, planning, reasoning, semantic reasoning, right? And these execution capabilities that allow to really interact with the knowledge graph, right? To answer structured queries, but also to deal with unstructured content, retrieve documents, extract knowledge from documents, assist with semantic modeling. So all these execution capabilities around the knowledge graph. And based on that, we then provide conversational interfaces for end users to support different kinds of use cases in the area of search and discovery, to generate insights based on existing knowledge bases, but also in the direction of knowledge engineering, where the agent can assist a user in knowledge engineering processes, for example, in the context of developing ontologies, creating vocabularies, so where we really have a human agent collaboration to construct knowledge bases. So these are just two use cases that we're working on. There are more where we're also looking at other kinds of workflows in the context of science, research, and development. So there's a lot of interesting things happening there, and we're really excited as Metafacts to be at the forefront of these developments.
Why should I, as a customer, put my trust in Metafacts?
Yeah. Well, I talked a bit about the technology and innovation side, so where we really have a platform that already is trustworthy, that combines these capabilities of building trustworthy AI applications. But then there's more to this, obviously. So as Metafacts, we're not only a technology company, but we work with our customers. We have our customers stand first. We work with them in understanding their needs. And this is really what drives our innovation, what drives our development, working closely with the customer, understanding their needs and developing solutions for them.
Thank you.